Let's start off with our first question here. It looks like Angela submitted the first question. And Angela asks, do sales slow down before Prime Day? In my experience, Angela, they don't. I don't see. They tend to definitely. It obviously Prime Day picks up dramatically, but I don't see a dip before Prime Day. And what's your experience been, Lenny, on that?
Yeah, I can't think of any reason why they would slow down, or not as like a general trend. Maybe, just the same way that any product might slow down or pick up at various points, just depending on what the product is. But specifically due to Prime Day, I can't think of any reason why that would happen. This is where it's probably, a great idea to be using things like Rank Tracker inside of Jungle Scout, just to be monitoring your keyword rankings to see, what could be contributing to that. Have you maybe lost some keyword rankings? If that's the case, then, maybe you want to consider going a little bit heavier on PPC or something on those particular rankings that you've lost. But yeah, answering your question, no, I don't see any reason why it would slow down. But on the flip side, I'd probably encourage people to be trying to get their rankings up and to go perhaps a little bit heavier with their PPC, maybe using some coupons and so on leading up to Prime Day, so that you have as much exposure and the best rankings that you can in preparation. All right. So I think you're muted there. So Rolando, I can grab the next one if you like. Also from Angela, QR codes. Are they free and where do you get them? I have heard I should get a dynamic QR code. What are your thoughts? Let's see. So to be honest, I haven't worked with QR codes all that much, but from my understanding, there are probably lots of different QR code builders. I'm pretty certain you can like create them for free. So I'm pretty sure there would be options to create them for free. Otherwise, I'm sure it'd be very inexpensive, depending on where you would source them from. A dynamic QR code. Offhand, I don't know what that is, but if I was to guess, that's a QR code where you could change out the destination URL, I guess a little bit like a short link. I'm assuming that's what a dynamic QR code is, and that is what I would recommend. Maybe you've got an additional take on this, Rolando, but the advantage of using something like that is you can, if you're going to be printing the QR code onto packaging and so on, you don't want to have to change that design all the time. So you want to have one QR code on an insert or packaging, whatever it is that you want to put it on, and you want to be on the back end able to change where that link goes to if for some reason you want to change it to a different page or point people somewhere else. So if you've got that option, I would definitely recommend it. But is my hunch right about dynamic QR codes? Is that do you know, Rolando?
Yeah, you nailed it. So you can get QR codes free of charge, and I'll drop a link to one of those types of sites. But the disadvantage of that is that it's not going to be dynamic if it's a free service. So if you do go the dynamic QR code route, then definitely you'll be paying for a service. Usually it's very minimal. But as Lenny covered there, you can change out the destination at any time. So if say, for example, you're sending them to a sales page or something, and you change that page, or you change you want to send them somewhere else, then you could do that with a dynamic QR code. So that's why it is beneficial long-term wise, because if you're having these QR codes printed directly on your packaging and you need to change anything for whatever reason, then maybe say, for example, early on, you're having them go directly to your Amazon listing. I think this would be a perfect example. You're having them go directly to your listing with a QR code, but then in the future, you want to direct them to a Shopify store that you started to build out. And so that would be an example of why a dynamic code would be your best alternative. Otherwise, you could go the free route, and if nothing's changing, and it's just one batch of orders, and nothing's changing during that time frame, definitely you can go the free route.
Awesome. All right. Next question here is from Edward. Thanks for the question. If my freight forwarder shipped the stuff from the factory directly into the Amazon warehouse, what should I put down when creating the shipment plan? Small parcel delivery or less than truckload? So correct me if I'm wrong, Rolando, but this isn't really dependent on whether it's going straight into the Amazon warehouse or not. It's really more dependent on the size of the shipment. Is that correct, Rolando? You're choosing that based on the size of the shipment, not the transportation, or more the size of the shipment. Do you remember the rules of thumb? It's like small parcel delivery for anything under, is it about 200 pounds or around 200 or 300 pounds? And I think anything, no, is that right? I don't really know pounds. I'm more come from a background in kilos, but there's a cutoff there. And I think actually when you're in the create a shipment screen, I think you can hover over and there's like a tooltip there that gives you a recommendation, if I remember right, that says if your shipment is sort of less than this amount, we sort of recommend small parcel, or less than truckload if it's a larger amount. Maybe
so with the small parcel, just to add to that, it's more on a small parcel would be boxes. Let's say that you do retail arbitrage. That would be a perfect example, and you're shopping clearance aisles and you're sending it to Amazon. That would be a small parcel delivery. You are capped at 200 boxes, so that's why it would be considered a small parcel delivery. In addition to that, there is a weight limit per box. Off the top of my head, I want to say 50 pounds, but I'm not absolutely sure on that. I'll have to look that up. But then when you start getting into like less than truckload, then you're talking about also now it's kind of like you have cartons on pallets, and that's essentially what you would use for that scenario. So if it's just a few boxes, not a significant, you can use small parcel delivery. And that's good, and it's not going to require a freight, right? It's DHL, UPS, FedEx, they can come pick up your packages necessary.
Cool. All right. What have we got? Angela asks, does Jungle Scout have a tool that shows how many keywords my product is ranking for? Do you want to take this one, Rolando?
Any keywords my product? Yes, we actually do have a tool that
in fact we do, yeah.
It's a rank tracker. So when you go into Jungle Scout and you look in the left, you'll see it under, I'm just actually pulling up myself so I can guide you in the right direction.
Yes, I'm bringing it up too.
It's under keywords, I want to say. Yep. So if you're in the left column with the menu options, if you expand keywords, you'll see their rank tracker, and that's essentially what you're looking for. That's the solution for what you're looking for there, Angela.
Yeah. So I guess actually now that I think about it, there's kind of a couple of places. So rank tracker is great. It shows you all the actual rankings for your keywords, but you can also see that data inside of Keyword Scout as well. I'm pretty sure with some of the advanced filters, I think you can see I think you can see the number of I think the number of keywords ranked. Oh, actually, maybe I'm getting that confused with organic rank.
Yeah, it looks so you can definitely determine, like the ease to rank. You can look at trends with Keyword Scout. I think what would fit more appropriately would be rank tracker for what you're looking to achieve.
Yeah, you're correct. Good call. Cool. All righty. So what do we have next?
Looks like Edward has the next question. I know the average ocean freight costs is 0.6 kilograms, 0.6 per kilogram for ocean freight. But what is the average price to ship into the Amazon warehouse? That's one of those situations that it's hard to say because there's so many factors that go into what Amazon will charge to deliver from, say, from your warehouse over to the different fulfillment centers they'll be sending your product to. I will say though, definitely use Amazon's partner carrier because you're going to save significantly. I've saved hundreds by using Amazon's partner carriers on just a single shipment, comparing two shipments. But they're going to base it on weight, dimension, how much, so that's why there really isn't a general rule of thumb of like what it would cost to ship in to Amazon's warehouse. But I will say always use it. And that's the only advice I could give there. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Lenny.
No, I'd agree. From when I've used that service before or like talked to other people that have used it, it's like you said, it's definitely the most affordable, but yeah, I've never been able to gauge an average price because it does depend so much on the goods. But it is, as a whole, out of your shipping, assuming that you're shipping your goods in from China, for instance, it is, significantly smaller. It's only a small portion of the overall shipping cost. But I don't have a specific, average price for it. Okay, Angela asks, overnight, one of my products lost its BSR sales rank. Amazon said that the product is not eligible for a sales rank at this time and specific eligibility criteria cannot be shared. It's not helpful. What is the ramification of not having a BSR or sales rank? How do I find out why it is not eligible today when it has been since I listed it a year ago? Okay, that's a real bummer. I'm sorry to hear that, Angela. Unfortunately, I don't remember ever coming across a situation like this where a product has lost its BSR or its sales rank, or at least it's never happened to me. So I don't have any specific advice for you, unfortunately, other than continuing to follow up with Amazon. That's the answer for some of these really niche specific cases that come up. It's just a matter of constantly creating new cases and like chasing Amazon to get an answer or trying to speak to someone, which I know is kind of a pain, and it can be hard to get in touch with someone, and different people will give you different responses, but that's all I can think of. I don't know if you've seen this case before, Rolando, or can shed any more light on why that would happen.
Yeah, I would think that it's possible that there's a keyword that's triggering it, a keyword that you've used, or in some cases, if I would definitely avoid using or targeting brands in say your listing, especially and in your backend search terms. That could always be something that triggers that. It's the category, comes down to the category that your product is in, potentially. So my thought process on this is definitely, like I always say, and what Lenny mentioned here, is just be relentless at trying to get the information you need. I know that in dealing with seller support, it's just it's luck of the draw. If you get someone that can help you out and that has access to that information. So sometimes you'll get people that have very limited access on the call, but then you might get lucky and someone has access to that information. And then they'll disclose it to you, or at least generalize and say, hey, it's because of this. So they're really the only ones that could provide that information and how you can resolve it and fix it. So let's see, what is the ramification of not having a rank? Well, definitely, you'll be on page who knows what, right? You won't be showing up on page one, or so you'll be pushed back. The only way to prevent not having any sales in this case would be to run PPC campaigns. I wouldn't stop PPC campaigns on that product. But unfortunately, seller support is your only choice in resolving this.
Cool.
All right. Looks
Thanks,
like Angela
Rolando.
has the next question as well.
Yes. I have a good product that is well priced compared to my, oh no, sorry, I missed one. I have a product that is a serving platter. Every single other seller of the same or similar products has their hero image with food on the platter. I changed my main image yesterday to an image with food, exactly the same as the others, and my listing was suppressed, so I had to change it back to the original image without food. I feel I'm at a disadvantage. Am I able to report all the other sellers, e.g. screenshot Amazon pages and raise a case? Yeah, I'd say that's probably your best bet if you're finding that it is kind of affecting you quite a bit and giving you the disadvantage. Unfortunately, I've seen this scenario before where the way that Amazon polices their different parts of their TOS is it just seems random sometimes. How, they we all know that you can't have any props or text and all these sorts of things inside of your main image, but so many people do, and they get away with it. Other people like you just update it once and then they get sort of pinged for it. It isn't fair. It doesn't make any sense why some people get policed and others don't. But yeah, if you feel like that is actually making a big impact, then it's probably worth reaching out and reporting the other listings. I've never done that personally, but I guess it's worth the shot to try to level the playing field, I guess. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Rolando? Oh, sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I have to mute myself periodically because there's some heavy equipment just outside my window here, and you're gonna probably hear, as you can hear there, some drilling going on. But anyhow, yeah, I would say that once again, just kind of reiterate what you're saying, Lenny, that they're in violation of Amazon's terms of service. So you're not playing dirty in reporting their listing in any way. I know sometimes it feels that way, but yeah, you're at a unfair. They're at an unfair advantage over you just because they're not playing nice and they're not playing by the rules. So, and at the end of the day, this is a business, and you want to run a legitimate business, and sometimes people just are a little shady, and yeah, so that's the unfortunate thing. But in your case, yeah, it's just when the algorithm just captures. I imagine that it was taking up too much space, and it somehow can figure out what's happening. But yeah, I often find though that products that do well, there's a reason why Amazon wants it specifically on a white background. I know that it highlights your product, and it really brings it out to the focus that I almost feel when I'm shopping on Amazon. I prefer to go and investigate further on a product that just shows me exactly what I'm getting, because then it piques my interest more in that way. So I don't even know if it would be that you're at a disadvantage, but ultimately, there's nothing wrong with reporting them as well. So awesome.
Cool.
And looks like you have the next question, Angela. It says, I have a good product that is well priced compared to my competition. It was out of stock for about 4 months, and now sales are very slow. What can I do to get the sales traction back? I'll let you tackle that one, Lenny.
Great question, Angela. And I can relate because I'm just in the process of doing that now with the washable pee pads from the $1 Million Case Study Season 5. Check that out on YouTube if you haven't already. But that product we had our sort of first 500 units sell out, and unfortunately it just sold out so quickly that, yeah, it took a while to kind of get the next order in. So we've got 2,000 units that have just started arriving earlier this week, and we've only got about 180 or so are available, because I think the 2,000, or actually 1,800 units has arrived, and Amazon is sending it out to different fulfillment centers. So at the moment, only a small portion of that. Every day, a few more are available, but hopefully in the next couple of days, more are available in time for Prime Day. Anyhow, I'm in the same situation where we've had a product out of stock for 4 or 5 weeks, a good amount of time. What we're planning to do is essentially run some coupons and go a little bit heavier in PPC. So at the end of the day, a little bit heavier in PPC, running the product at a discount, whether that's just dropping the price or adding a coupon to make it stand out with a significant sort of discount. I think I'm running, I just started like a 15% off coupon, because before the product did go out of stock, we were finding that we had like quite a high sales volume. So I think we're fortunate enough that I don't have to do a really, really steep discount in order to attract people to buying it. But it might depend on your category or your type of product to, how much you should discount your product. But yeah, basically discounts and go heavy on the PPC. Sort of expect that your first few days or maybe your first week, you might run at a high ACOS. But that's sort of just necessary to kind of kickstart the product and kind of get back into your older sales rankings if they've dropped. So that's in a nutshell what I'd recommend.
All right. Let's see here. So looks like we've gone through all the earlier submissions. So now we will go to the live, which actually, wow, we only have one question. Make sure to keep dropping your questions. You have us for an hour, so you definitely want to take full advantage of this time. And it looks like it's Avi. Avi's asking, I'm trying to sign up for WeChat. Can you help me get verified? Absolutely. Just drop your QR code in the comments here, and when I get off this call, I'll go in and get you set up, get you verified.
Oh. Well, I guess we'll. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Rolando.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, if that wraps up that question, we'll stick around for a couple more minutes in case there's any last questions. But then otherwise we'll sign off. But yeah, we'll stick around for another couple of minutes to see if there are any final questions that we can help you all out with. Let's see. Meanwhile, let's see what's happening at the moment, Rolando. Anything we can share? I mean, I guess we've got Prime Day coming up next week.
Yeah, that's a big one. Prime Day is just around the corner. Hopefully you all have done all your preparation, got all your ducks in a row, have plenty of supply on tap, because I foresee that it's going to it just seems like every time they keep surpassing like the prior year's sales totals and just keep breaking records with Amazon. So I foresee that it's going to have that same effect this year as well. I got that coming along, and next month, Lenny and I, we will be in Las Vegas. We'll be at the Prosper Show. So if you don't have any plans and you have some extra cash stuffed aside, we'd recommend that you go to the Prosper Show. There's going to be amazing content. Our very own Connor Foley will be speaking there. He'll be on one of the panels. So it's going to be an exciting time. I believe it's from the 13th to the 15th. If off the top of my head, I'm trying to get the dates, but July 13th through the 15th. And
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, that's correct. Sorry.
yeah, and Lenny and I will be there. So if you do go, you definitely want to stop by uh, and say hello. Maybe we can get a picture or two with you as well.
Definitely. Cool. Actually, I see that Avi has dropped another question in here. I was hoping that you could share your thoughts on finding legitimate suppliers. Yeah, there's a few different things that you can do. One tool that you can utilize, this is just one way, is using Jungle Scout's supplier database. So if you're not familiar with that, it's got it displays a lot of the import records into the United States. So I would do a search in there to see if you can find that particular supplier that you're wanting to work with. And what you'll see is basically their import history. And why is this important? Well, it validates that they've worked with clients in the US, and you can see how often and for how long. And that can give you a bit of peace of mind that, you know, they have worked with US clients before, so they understand the standards of US products and so on. But one thing I do want to note is that you won't be able to find everyone all the time. So if you don't see your particular supplier there, I wouldn't say to rule them out. It's just sort of, it's a nice verification tool if you're able to discover any records for that particular supplier, because companies can actually register or pay to have these records omitted off the register. So there are certain scenarios where that information won't be displayed. So again, I wouldn't rule them out if they're not in supplier database, but it is worthwhile checking because you can get some great information on their import history and which companies they've worked with in the US. If you can track down those companies, you can then potentially, if they're selling on Amazon, you can potentially backtrack and find that particular product on Amazon. And then that's the best way of kind of verifying the quality of that product. Because if you can find the product on Amazon, see its star rating, see what real life customers have said about that particular product, knowing that it's made by the manufacturer that you're looking into, that's one of the best ways to gauge the quality of their product. So that's one thing. One of the other features inside of Alibaba is, what is it? There's like I can't remember the name of it, like a verified badge that you can go into their profile and you can see certain types of information that has been verified by third parties. And so typically when I'm doing a search for suppliers, I always turn that filter on. And this is, I think, different to the gold supplier, I think. There's this other, I think it's like verified supplier or something along those lines. But I always do my searches with that turned on. And that automatically gives you like more of a curated list of companies that have had a little more, had some more checks, and you can feel more confident around. Those are the things that come to mind off the top of my head. I don't know if you've got anything else, Rolando.
Yeah, I would definitely, while on Alibaba, use those filters to your advantage. They're many of them, they pay for these types of access and this type of service, but I think that either way, I would still use them. And there's a filter in there that's like that says less than 1 hour response time. You know, if it's a product that there's a lot of suppliers, then I would just tick on all the different filters: the trade assurance, verified supplier, and less than 1 hour response time. Only because it's going to give you at least the response time is critical, right? That means that they at least have a team on hand that's responding and answering, a sales team. So that's a good indicator. It's not a make or break thing, but I do like to just activate all the filters. Like my initial check will be to activate all the filters, and then you could dive a little deeper and see as far as what the company, if it's definitely like if it's a trading company, then you might want to put them on standby, right? Like that might not be someone that you want to work with immediately, but it might come down to that you'll end up working, because in some cases, some are actual the manufacturers, and they also have a trading company. So they do both. They fulfill both roles. So that's why I say that's not a deal breaker in itself, but I would always start vetting and seeing if they can customize your order, how much they can customize your order. Those kind of indications tell you if they, if they are a supplier that manufactures their own product. In addition to that, when you go into the company profile, you'll want to see the different countries they ship to. So if you're selling in the United States, being able to verify how much quantity is being shipped to the United States, that's a good sign. That's a good indicator. And let's see here, what else would be a good indication. I also like to check their website off of Alibaba. They'll typically have their website on there as well. You can kind of go through that and see, they'll have some company videos, the tours that like kind of show the factory, all those things. It's really a matter of once you've, so the first step is, let me take a step back. The first thing I do is I'll use the filters when I'm doing a search. Then I just cast a wide net. I'll reach out to everyone, right? They will start to weed themselves out if they don't respond immediately, if they don't respond quickly. So that's something to keep in mind, that definitely they're going to just weed themselves out in step one. The ones that are the most responsive are probably going to be the ones that you're going to want to work with. Then from there, from there you start to dig into the company itself, right? Then you could first see if you could find them on supplier database. If they show up, then you can get a better indication. This is accurate information that's coming through U.S. Customs. So we know that, based on that, if they're able to be retrieved on supplier database, then you'll have accurate information. Vet them there. If they can't be located on there, sometimes, as Lenny said, they can't be. Then you take that next step of going on Alibaba and starting to dive deeper into their profile and identifying if they're a trading company or if they're in fact a manufacturer, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think you covered it.
Oh, we got more questions.
Nice.
Here. Edward asks, thanks for answering my question earlier. Will the shipment plan expire if I haven't sent it in a month? No, it will not, Edward. It will not expire. Typically, right now, it's always like a work in progress until you go through the final step, which is you make the payment. Then it more or less activates, and that's when the different carriers, or the partner carriers, if you're using the Amazon's partner carrier program, will reach out to the warehouse or the company where it's being warehoused. If it's your freight forwarder's warehouse, they'll reach out to your freight forwarder and start that process of what they call a recovery, to go and pick up the goods and deliver them to the fulfillment center that was designated by Amazon. So keep in mind that Amazon designates the fulfillment centers, which sometimes is it's just horrible, because they'll have it go all the way to New York when that they have fulfillment centers in California. So you're gonna have to pay a little more to ship it all the way to New York. But that's, we really have no control of where it goes. They're always going to base it on the demand of that product for a specific region, because certain products, they can see how your product sells in a given region, and so they'll send it there. Yeah, your shipment plan, to answer as a long way of going about it, but it does not expire. It's just right now it's in a draft mode. When you first created it, you could even go in there and delete it if you find that you wanted to make some changes, whatever the case may be. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah,
that.
I'd agree. I've never, I mean, there's definitely been times where I've had a shipment, I've created a shipment and it sat there for weeks or maybe a month or so. I've never tried longer than that, but I'm pretty sure it'll never expire. It'd probably be there like a year later if you did nothing with it. You didn't cancel or delete it. I don't know, but yeah, nothing should happen to it.
All right.
Avi has the next question. The product that I'm pursuing seems pretty unique. There is basically one seller who is selling 30 to 60 units per day. The demand seems to be there, but I would be interested in how you would evaluate the risk of getting in, as the seller has good reviews, about 430 in total. So really what I'd recommend here is a lot of the things that we talk about in the course, the different ways that Greg talks about evaluating whether a product is a good opportunity. But one thing I do want to touch on here, you mentioned there is basically one seller who's selling 30 to 60 units per day. I'd be careful if there really is only one other listing, one other person selling this product. I know I've found opportunities like that in the past where it's like, wow, this product is selling really well and there's like no one else selling it. And I've like been great. That's a great opportunity. And then I've considered selling it, or I've started going down that path only to realize there's a reason why no one else is selling it. It could be a patented product, or yeah, usually something along those lines where other people can't sell it. Yeah, I think like lockpicks was something I was looking into at one stage because there seemed to be a little competition, but then I realized that you can't just sell that product, or it's tricky or whatever, you needed approval. So if there is only one other listing selling this product, I'd make sure you do some digging and make sure that there definitely is no patent. Try to figure out why no one else is selling it. So that's the first point I'd make. If you're just saying that the main seller is selling that and there are other competitors there, then in a regular situation, how would you evaluate the risk? Really, I guess it's, yeah, again, a lot of the stuff that we talk about, you want to see, one, there is demand, but you want there to be demand not just in one listing. You don't want one listing to be doing 30 to 60 units per day, but then all these other ones are only doing, say, 5 units per day, because that means that for whatever reason, customers are just buying that one product. And so even if you jump into page one and you're right up next to them, you're most likely not going to get many sales either, because everyone's buying this one listing. So you want to see the sales reasonably well spread out in the top 10 or in that first page of results. There's usually always going to be one or two listings that have more sales than everyone else, but you want it to be reasonably well balanced, not very one-sided. That's kind of a red flag in of itself. Yeah, let's see. That's probably like one of the main things. You want to see the demand reasonably well spread out. You want to see the number of reviews. Again, you don't want one listing that's got like 1,000 reviews could be very, very hard to compete with. They might again be dominating most of the sales, but hopefully those are a couple of things to think about. If you're saying that, this one top seller there has about 430 reviews in total, I don't think that's too bad. I mean, it's definitely starting to get a little bit higher. You wouldn't want it any higher than that, but I feel like that's still within the realm of competing against, as long as you can see that there is demand throughout that top page. All right.
Let me go ahead and unmute myself. That heavy drilling is still going on. It looks like Avi has the next question. Let's see here. You're welcome for the QR code thing. And then, I can't seem to paste the QR code here. Can you verify by my phone number? I believe with WeChat, you can only do it through your QR code. So what I would recommend, Avi, is just get a screenshot from your phone while you have the QR code up, and then you should be able to upload it on Facebook. Shouldn't be a problem.
Cool.
I'm not familiar of verifying via the phone number. I've never done it. But if it's possible, I could try. But I know for sure with the QR code I can.
Cool.
Edward asks, thanks. I think the shipping agency I found was to send it directly to the supplier, to the Amazon warehouse. They even say they will take care of the customs. Is it legit? Because it was about $2.50 per kilogram, which I found surprisingly cheap. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I remember right, like a rule of thumb, a very rough rule of thumb was maybe about like $5 per kilo roughly for air shipping. But it's hard to, like you said earlier, Rolando, it's very, very hard to give rules of thumb, particularly for like ocean shipping, but that would be significantly cheaper. So if it's $2.50 per kilo, that sounds more like ocean shipping or something. But yeah, I mean, I can't see why it wouldn't be legit, as long as you can kind of, verify that just check their website, check their social media, see if, you can talk to any other sellers who've used that particular company. What's their communication like? If they're being really responsive to you and helpful, then I can't see why they wouldn't be legit, but definitely want to do those kind of basic checks.
Yeah, though I definitely agree. Just it's not an improbability that you could find someone that could do it for less. It's just a matter of are they, a lot of times, like cheaper isn't always better. Sometimes there's a reason why companies kind of have to really lower their price in an environment right now where actually shipping costs are on the rise. For a company to lower their cost is kind of, that could be a little sketchy, but it's just a matter of vetting the company to make sure that that they have a history of delivering on time and the product will make it safe and sound and without any problems of you having to get involved. Because that's of course that's what a freight forwarding company is for, is to kind of allow that process of getting your items to stateside to make it smooth for you. So
definitely.
cool. All right.
All
And
right.
it looks like it is coming ocean shipping. Edward was adding. Awesome.
Yeah, thinking
one
about
thing
that,
I will say is get your shipping in or as early as possible. Like try to. Right now, there's major delays on shipping. So if you are like, if you're reordering, say for example, you may want to push up the timeline a little bit, just because we're seeing major delays on shipments. The freight forwarder I use is Flexport. They're sending out emails weekly saying that there's major congestion at the ports, and so it's an interesting environment right now that we're in. Everything is opening up, so that means there's definitely more demand for things as well. So just get the shipments in as early as possible and start planning now for the holiday season. Don't wait till after summer. Start planning now for that, because I can't imagine that shipping at any point in time soon is going to kind of get back to normal. It's going to take a little time before that happens.
Cool. Avi has the next question. After the initial order of, say, 500 units, is there a formula you use to determine when to reorder? The simple explanation for this is to use the inventory manager tool within Jungle Scout. What that does is it basically tells you how many units you need to reorder and when to reorder them based off of your past sales history. So it's perhaps not as helpful if it's your very first shipment, because you mightn't have that sales history. But so to keep it very high level, rule of thumb, what we often talk about is aim to reorder about 3 months worth of inventory. This gives you, enough time to, this allows usually, let's say it's a roughly 45 to 60 days lead time from the time that you need to place your new reorder to get that into Amazon, and then add on an additional 30 days that you're in stock. So that's probably like the rule of thumb, I would say, is aim for about 3 months worth of inventory. And so if you haven't sold for a month yet and you're not sure what that amount is, I would base that off your competitors. So what is the average competitor selling per month? If they're selling, 300 units per month, then I would aim to try to reorder 900 units as soon as possible. It's always really tricky when you're starting out with, 500 units or a lower amount. It's always really tricky to be able to sell those units and then get enough money back in order to place a reorder before running out of stock. So I know I've always found that the case is that, I've always started with 500 or maybe 1,000 units, but I always typically run out of stock on that first order, and then I try to place larger orders so that I don't run out of stock in the future. But first order, I'd say try to reorder 3 months worth. Then in subsequent orders, utilize Inventory Manager in Jungle Scout, and that'll do all the thinking for you.
Awesome. Yeah, that's some good advice there, Lenny. It's always awesome. It's always awesome having you on. You're just got so much wisdom when it comes to selling on Amazon.
Doing my best.
Looks like Edward has the next. Oh, he just a comment saying that they told that they told him it's around 45 days now. That all sounds
normal.
Yeah, that's about normal turnaround time for overseas ocean freight. Yeah,
I think that's all actually pretty common. Yeah, ocean shipping around 45 days, $2.50, $2.50 per kilo. I don't know that that's cheap. It's definitely cheaper than like air, but I wouldn't say that that's, unusually cheap. I would say that's probably average, or I don't know. Again, ocean shipment, it's hard to have a rule of thumb, but if anything, that may be slightly higher than what I've heard from other quotes. But at the moment, shipping, just freight costs in general are kind of through the roof. So it's a little bit unpredictable at the moment, but from what I can tell, that's not unusual. So I think you can probably be rest assured that you're in good hands with the agency that you've got. Alrighty.
We're at the end of the questions.
Great. We'll wrap it up there, but definitely appreciate everyone dropping in your questions here. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Rolando. And I assume that we'll be back same time next week. Is that right, Rolando?
That is correct. Same time next week. And in the meantime, keep crushing it, Freedom Builders. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.